My dad told me I would be nothing without him. Getting kicked out of the house has never felt better. My dad's voice had that edge it always got when he was 3 drinks in and feeling generous with his wisdom. None of you would have a roof over your heads if it weren't for me. Not one of you. He gestured at the table with his steak knife like he was conducting an orchestra. Your mother wouldn't have her car. Your brother wouldn't have gotten into that school. And you, he pointed the knife at me. You'd be living in some apartment with roaches, working retail. I kept my eyes on my plate. The mashed potatoes had gone cold. But no, instead you waste my money on therapy. He laughed, and my brother smirked into his napkin. Paying some stranger to tell you you're special. That's what that is. A participation trophy for adults. My mom reached for the water pitcher. My sister checked her phone under the table. This was normal. This was Tuesday. You know what your problem is? He leaned back in his chair, warming up. You think the world owes you something. You think you can just feel your way through life, and someone's going to pat you on the head and say, good job. That's not how it works. I built everything you see in this house with my hands, my brain, I'm not broken. The words came out quieter than I meant them to, but they landed hard. My dad stopped mid-sentence. My mom's hand froze on the pitcher. What did you say? I looked up at him. I said I'm not broken, and paying someone to help me figure out why I feel like I'm suffocating every time I walk through that door isn't a waste. It's the only thing keeping me sane. His face went red. You want to talk about suffocating? I work 60 hours a week so you can sit around and... No. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. You work 60 hours a week so you can hold it over our heads. So you can remind us every single day that we owe you. That we're nothing without you. My sister's phone clattered onto the table. My brother stared at me like I'd just set the curtains on fire. This isn't love. My voice didn't shake. This is control. You don't lead this family. You terrify it. And you call that leadership because it's the only way you know how to feel important. My dad's mouth opened, then closed. His hand tightened around the knife handle, but he didn't say anything. For the first time in my entire life, he didn't have a comeback ready. He just sat there, his face cycling through confusion, rage, and something that almost looked like fear. The silence stretched out so long I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. Then he slammed his fork down on the table. The sound made my mom flinch. Get out of my house! Gladly. I grabbed my coat off the back of the chair. My hands didn't shake when I pulled it on. My dad stood up, his chair scraping backward, but he didn't move toward me. He just stood there, breathing hard, watching me walk to the door. You'll regret this, he said. I turned the handle. I really don't think I will. The cold air hit my face as I stepped outside, and the door slammed shut behind me before I even let go of it. I stood in the driveway for a second, waiting for the tears or the panic or the guilt to show up. Instead, I started laughing. Not the bitter kind, the kind that comes from somewhere deep and unexpected, like my body finally remembered how. I laughed so hard I had to bend over, hands on my knees, staring at the concrete. The porch light flicked on behind me, and I could see my shadow stretching out toward the street. I straightened up, wiped my eyes, and pulled out my phone. My hands were steady. The weight I'd been carrying for years, the one I thought would crush me if I ever dropped it, was just gone. I walked toward my car, still smiling, because I finally understood what freedom felt like. It felt like saying no. It felt like leaving. I made it to my apartment before the first text came through. Please call me. My mom. No punctuation, no context, just those 3 words. I set my phone on the counter and went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face. When I came back, there were 4 more messages waiting. Your father is very upset. This is not how we handle things. You need to apologize. Please. I stared at the screen. The please felt worse than the demand. My brother's name appeared next. What the hell is wrong with you? I opened the message. You just had to make it about yourself, didn't you? Couldn't just sit there and eat dinner like a normal person. Now mom's crying and dad's threatening to cut you off completely. Hope you're happy. I typed out a response. Deleted it. Typed another one. Deleted that too. Another text from him. You know what your problem is? You think you're better than us. You think because you go to therapy you figured something out the rest of us haven't. Newsflash, you're not special. You're just selfish. My hands were shaking now, but not the way they used to. This was different. This was anger. My sister's name popped up. Are you okay? I exhaled. Finally. Someone asking the actual question. I'm fine, are you? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Dad's really mad. I know. Why did you say all that stuff? I stared at her message. She'd been sitting right there. She'd heard the same words I had, lived in the same house, eaten at the same table for years. Because it's true, I typed. The dots appeared and disappeared twice before her response came through. He's just old-fashioned. You know how he is. We all deal with it. I read it 3 times, waiting for the follow-up, the acknowledgement, the something that would make it hurt less. Nothing came. Right, I sent back. We all deal with it. She didn't respond after that. My phone buzzed again. A group text this time. One I didn't recognize at first because I'd muted it years ago. The extended family chain. My dad's name sat at the top of a long paragraph. I want everyone to know what happened tonight. After everything I've done for my kids, paid for their education, kept a roof over their heads, made sure they never went without, I was disrespected in my own home, in front of my wife, in front of my other children. I don't ask for much. I ask for respect, for gratitude. And tonight I was told that providing for my family makes me a tyrant. I'm heartbroken. I don't know what I did to deserve this. I watched the responses roll in. My aunt. I'm so sorry you're going through this. My uncle. Kids today don't understand sacrifice. Another aunt. Praying for you. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had opinions. Family is everything. You should always respect your parents. This generation doesn't know how good they have it. No one asked what I'd actually said. No one asked why. My uncle, my mom's brother, the one who used to sneak me candy when I was a kid, sent a private message. I don't know what's going on, but your dad's a good man. You should make this right, I typed back. Were you there? He didn't answer. The group chat kept moving. My dad sent another message. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. I raised my kids to be better than this. Someone hearted the message. I put the phone face down on the counter and walked to the window. My apartment overlooked a parking lot and a gas station that never closed. The fluorescent lights made everything look bleached and flat. My phone buzzed again and again and again. I picked it up. My brother, you're tearing this family apart. My mom, please just come back and talk to him, he'll forgive you. A cousin I hadn't seen since I was 12. Your dad's always been good to me. Maybe you should think about what you're throwing away. The group chat had moved on to planning the next holiday gathering, like nothing had happened. But my name was noticeably absent from the thread about who was bringing what. I sat down on the couch. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional buzz of my phone, which I'd stopped checking. The laughter from the driveway felt like it had happened to someone else. Someone braver or stupider, or at least someone who didn't have to sit alone in a dim apartment watching their entire family rewrite the night into a story where they were the villain. My mom sent another message. He's your father, you only get one. I turned the phone over in my hands. The screen lit up with another notification, then another. A cascade of people I barely knew weighing in on a moment they hadn't witnessed, defending a version of my dad that only existed in his carefully curated group texts. The worst part wasn't the anger. It was the silence from the people who knew better. My mom's brother, who'd watched my dad belittle her at every family gathering for 30 years. My older cousin, who'd pulled me aside at a wedding once and told me to hang in there when my dad spent 20 minutes explaining to everyone why my college major was a waste. They knew. They'd always known. But knowing wasn't the same as saying it out loud. I set the phone on the coffee table and leaned back. The ceiling had a water stain in the corner that looked like a map of nowhere. My phone buzzed one more time. I didn't look. I didn't check my phone for 2 days. Work helped. I had a project deadline, something mindless enough to fill the hours without requiring me to think about anything beyond spreadsheets and formatting. My coworker asked if I was okay on the second day, said I looked tired. I told her I hadn't been sleeping well. She nodded and didn't push. When I finally looked at my phone again, there were 37 unread messages. My mom had called 6 times. No voicemails, just missed calls stacked on top of each other like she thought the repetition would eventually summon me. The texts were worse. I know you're angry, but this is getting out of hand. Your father hasn't been sleeping. Do you know what it's like for me to watch him hurt like this? You're punishing all of us for something you could fix in 5 minutes. I scrolled past them. My brother had sent a photo, old, from maybe 10 years ago. All of us at the beach, my dad's arm around my shoulder, everyone smiling. The caption read, "Remember when we were a real family?" I stared at it. I remembered that day. I remembered my dad spending the entire car ride there lecturing me about my report card, telling me I'd never get into a decent school if I didn't stop being lazy. I remembered sitting on that beach thinking about how badly I wanted to just disappear into the water and not come back. But sure, real family. My sister sent a message late on the 3rd night. "Can we talk?" I called her. She answered on the first ring. Hey. There was a pause, the kind that used to feel comfortable but now just felt like a trap. "So," she said, "there was a family meeting." "I wasn't invited to a family meeting." "I know." Her voice was small. "That's kind of why I'm calling." I waited. Mom and Dad wanted to talk about what happened, figure out how to move forward. Move forward? Yeah. And look, I tried to say that maybe we should hear your side, but what? She exhaled. "Everyone thinks you need to apologize before Thanksgiving. Otherwise, it's going to be really uncomfortable, and Mom doesn't want the holiday ruined." Uncomfortable for who? For everyone. Come on, you know how Dad gets. If you're there and you guys haven't made up, he's just going to be in a bad mood the whole time, and then Mom will be upset, and that's not what I'm saying. That's exactly what you're saying. Silence. "I'm just trying to help," she said finally. "Are you? Because it sounds like you're asking me to pretend nothing happened so no one has to feel uncomfortable. You don't get it. I still have to live near them. I still have to see them every week. You left. You get to just walk away and not deal with any of this." "I left because I had to." "Well, some of us don't have that option." I closed my eyes. "I'm not asking you to pick sides." "Yes, you are. You're making all of us pick sides just by existing right now." The line went dead. I sat there holding the phone, staring at the dark screen, trying to figure out when my sister had learned to sound exactly like our mother. The group text came the next morning. I'd been added back to the family chat, which I took as a good sign until I actually read the message. My mom. "Thanksgiving is at our house, 2 p.m. Please let me know if you're coming so I can plan accordingly." Responses came fast. My brother, my sister, my aunt, 2 cousins, all confirmations, all polite, all acting like the last week hadn't happened. I typed out a message, rewrote it 4 times, tried to find a way to say what I needed to say without making it worse. "I love you all, but I need to say something." What happened at dinner wasn't about disrespect. It was about years of being told that my feelings don't matter as much as keeping the peace. I'm not trying to tear this family apart. I'm trying to exist in it without disappearing. Love shouldn't require silence. I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. 3 dots appeared under my mom's name, then stopped, then appeared again. This is not the place for this conversation. My uncle, my dad's brother, the one who'd always been the loudest at family gatherings, chimed in. Therapy has made you selfish. You used to be such a sweet kid. I read it twice. Used to be. Like I'd died and been replaced by someone worse. My brother. Can we just have one holiday without drama? My cousin, the one who'd sent the message about respecting elders. Some things are better left unsaid. Family is forever. I watched the messages pile up. No one addressed what I'd actually written. No one acknowledged the word silence or disappearing. They just kept talking around it. Like if they ignored the actual problem long enough, it would dissolve into something manageable. My sister sent a private message. You shouldn't have said that in the group chat. Where should I have said it? She didn't answer. That night, my mom called. I didn't pick up. She called again an hour later, then again at midnight. I answered. Finally, she said. I've been trying to reach you all day. I've been here. Well, you haven't been answering. I didn't respond. Look, she said, her voice shifting into the tone she used when she was trying to negotiate. I know you're upset. I know things got heated, but your father is your father. You only get one. And I just think if you could sit down with him, really talk, you'd see that he's not this monster you're making him out to be. I never called him a monster, but that's how you're treating him. Like he's done something unforgivable. He provided for you. He gave you everything. He gave me a roof and food and college tuition. That's not the same as making me feel like I mattered. Of course you matter. You're his child. Then why does it only feel that way when I'm quiet? She was silent for a moment. You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. Honest? Her voice cracked. You stood up in the middle of dinner and humiliated your father in front of everyone. You made me look like I failed as a mother, and now you're acting like you're the victim. I'm not acting like anything. I just don't want to pretend anymore. Pretend? She laughed, sharp and bitter. You think the rest of us don't have to pretend? You think I wake up every day and everything is perfect? That's called being an adult. That's called making sacrifices for the people you love. I'm not asking you to stop pretending. I'm asking you to stop asking me to. The line went quiet. I could hear her breathing. If you don't come to Thanksgiving, she said finally, everyone's going to know it's because you're choosing to stay away, not because we pushed you out. Is there a difference? She hung up. I opened the family group chat. My name was gone again. I ran into my dad's business partner at the coffee shop on Monday morning. I'd known Roger since I was a kid. He used to bring me candy when he came over for meetings. Always asked about school, told me I was going to do great things. When I walked in and saw him at the counter, I smiled out of habit. He looked at me, looked away, ordered his coffee, and left without saying a word. I stood there holding my wallet, trying to figure out if I'd imagined it. The barista handed me my drink. Rough morning? Something like that? I saw it happen again at the gym that afternoon. A woman I'd chatted with a few times. Casual stuff, complaints about the elliptical, recommendations for protein bars, walked past me without making eye contact. I said hi anyway. She nodded, barely, and kept walking. By the end of the week, I couldn't ignore it anymore. The guy at the front desk, who usually joked around while scanning my membership card, was suddenly all business. The woman who worked at the dry cleaner, who always asked about my family, didn't ask anything. My neighbor, who I'd helped carry groceries up the stairs 2 months ago, saw me in the hallway and suddenly remembered she'd left something in her car. I wasn't imagining it. People knew. My dad had lived in this town for 30 years. He knew everyone. He sat on the board at the community center, sponsored the Little League team, showed up to every charity event with a checkbook and a smile. People loved him, respected him, believed him. And now they were hearing his version. I didn't know exactly what he was saying. I didn't have to. I could see it in the way people looked at me, like I was something that needed to be handled carefully, pitied, judged. My coworker, the one who'd asked if I was okay, stopped by my desk on Thursday. She leaned against the edge, arms crossed, voice low. Hey, so I heard something and I just wanted to check in. I looked up. Okay, my husband's on the same golf league as your dad. He mentioned that things have been tough at home, that you guys had a falling out. That's one way to put it. She hesitated. He said your dad's really torn up about it, that he's trying to reach out but you're not responding. That's not what happened. I'm not saying it is. I'm just telling you what I heard. She paused. People are talking. I thought you should know. What are they saying? That you're going through something. That maybe the stress of work and therapy and everything has been too much and you kind of snapped. I felt my jaw tighten. I didn't snap. I know. I'm just saying that's the story going around. And I wanted to give you a heads up because, you know, perception matters. She walked away before I could respond. I sat there staring at my computer screen, trying to process the idea that my father had managed to turn my breakdown into evidence of my instability, that he'd weaponized my therapy, my exhaustion, my refusal to apologize, and shaped it into a narrative where he was the concerned parent and I was the troubled child who'd lost control. And people were believing him. My mom showed up at my apartment on Saturday. I opened the door and there she was, holding a casserole dish, eyes red. I made your favorite, she said. I didn't move. You can't just show up here. I wanted to see you. I wanted to talk without everyone else around. She stepped forward. I stepped back. She came in anyway, setting the dish on the counter like she'd been invited. Your father hasn't been eating, she said. He barely sleeps. He sits in his chair and stares at the TV, and when I ask him what's wrong, he just says he doesn't understand how his own child could hate him. I don't hate him. Then why are you doing this? I'm not doing anything, I'm just not pretending anymore. She turned to face me and her expression was something I'd never seen before. Not anger, not sadness, something harder. You know what your problem is? You think you're the only one who's ever been hurt. You think you're special because you went to therapy and learned some words to describe your feelings. But the rest of us have been dealing with life without falling apart. I didn't fall apart. You screamed at your father in front of the entire family. You walked out, you stopped answering calls, you posted that message in the group chat like you were some kind of martyr. If that's not falling apart, I don't know what is. I wasn't screaming. I was finally saying what I'd been holding in for years. And look where it got you. She gestured around the apartment, like the space itself was proof of my failure. You're alone. You've turned everyone against you. And for what? So you could feel like you won an argument? I wasn't trying to win anything. Then what were you trying to do? I was trying to stop disappearing. She stared at me. You're being selfish. Maybe, but I'd rather be selfish than invisible. Her face crumpled. He's your father. He gave you everything. And you're just throwing it all away because he hurt your feelings? It's not about my feelings. It's about the fact that I had to become a different person just to exist around him. That's what family is. You adjust. You compromise. You don't just walk away because things aren't perfect. I'm not asking for perfect. I'm asking for the bare minimum. I'm asking to be treated like I matter. She picked up her purse. If you don't come to Thanksgiving, he's going to know you've chosen to cut him out. And once you do that, there's no coming back. I'm not cutting him out. I'm just not pretending everything's fine. It's the same thing. She opened the door. You're tearing this family apart, and one day you're going to regret it. She left. The casserole stayed on the counter. I didn't touch it. My brother's message came that night. Long, detailed, angry. I've stayed out of this because I didn't want to take sides. But I can't anymore. What you're doing is cruel. You're not some victim. You're a grown adult who decided that your need to be right is more important than the people who raised you. Dad isn't perfect. None of us are. But he worked his entire life to give us opportunities, and you're throwing it in his face because he didn't validate every single feeling you ever had. Therapy isn't an excuse to be selfish. It's supposed to help you deal with life, not give you permission to blow up everyone else's. You're playing the victim, and it's pathetic. Grow up. I read it 3 times, tried calling him, he didn't answer. 2 hours later, he posted a photo. Old. All of us at a barbecue. My dad flipping burgers, everyone laughing. The caption read, "Family isn't perfect, but it's everything. Grateful for the people who actually show up." The comments poured in. Hearts, supportive messages. Someone wrote, "Family first, always." I closed the app. My cousin, the one who'd sent me a message of support after the dinner, stopped responding to my texts. I tried calling. Nothing. A week later, she sent a short reply. "I can't get in the middle of this. I'm sorry." "You're not in the middle. I just need someone to talk to." "Your dad asked my mom if I'd been talking to you. She told me I needed to stay neutral. I can't afford to make things weird with them. So you're just going to stop talking to me?" "I'm not stopping. I'm just taking a step back until this blows over." It wasn't going to blow over. I knew that. She probably did too. My friend, the one who'd seen my dad berate me at a graduation party years ago, called me after seeing my brother's post. "Are you okay?" "Not really. I saw what he wrote. That's messed up. Everyone thinks I'm the problem." "You're not. I was there that night at your graduation. I heard what your dad said to you. That wasn't normal." No one else seems to remember it that way. Because they don't want to. It's easier to blame you than to admit he's been like this the whole time. I felt something break loose in my chest. I don't know if I can keep doing this. You don't have to keep doing anything. You just have to keep going. We talked for an hour. It helped. But when I hung up, the apartment was still empty, and my phone was still full of messages that made me feel like I was losing my mind. I wasn't the one who'd started this. I wasn't the one who'd made it a war. But I was the one everyone blamed, and I was starting to wonder if standing up had been worth it. My sister's text came through at 2 in the morning. "I've been thinking about what you said at dinner. Maybe you weren't completely wrong, but I can't say that to anyone else. Please don't tell Mom I said this." I stared at my phone in the dark, reading it over and over. It wasn't much. It wasn't even full support. But it was the first time anyone in my family had admitted, even privately, that I might have had a point. I typed back, "I won't tell anyone. Thank you for saying that." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. It's just hard because everyone's so upset and I don't want to make it worse. I get it. Do you hate him? No, I just can't keep pretending. The dots stopped. She didn't respond after that, but the message stayed on my screen, and I kept going back to it when the doubt crept in. I started keeping notes after that, not because I wanted ammunition, but because I was starting to lose track of what was real. My mom would call and say my dad never raised his voice at dinner. My brother would insist I'd been the one who started yelling. I'd replay the night in my head until I wasn't sure anymore. So I started writing things down. Screenshots of messages, dates and times of phone calls, summaries of conversations while they were still fresh. I kept it all in a document on my laptop, password protected, never shared with anyone. It wasn't about building a case. It was about holding on to my own memory. I ran into Dennis at the coffee shop on a Wednesday afternoon. He'd been friends with my dad since college, one of those people who showed up at every major family event with a bottle of wine and a story about the old days. I hadn't seen him since the dinner. He was sitting by the window reading a newspaper. I almost turned around and left, but he looked up and waved me over. "Sit down for a minute." I hesitated. "I don't want to make things awkward." "You're not. Sit." I sat. He folded the paper and set it aside. I heard about what happened. I'm sure you did. Your dad's version anyway. He took a sip of his coffee. He called me a few days after. Wanted to vent. I listened. Okay. He told me you'd lost your temper, that you'd been under a lot of stress and said some things you didn't mean. Dennis leaned back in his chair. But I've known your dad a long time, and I've seen how he talks to people when he thinks he's in charge. I didn't say anything. He had a brother, Dennis said. Your uncle. You probably never met him. I didn't know he had a brother. Most people don't. They had a falling out about 20 years ago. Your dad doesn't talk about it. But I was around back then, and I saw how it went down. Your uncle tried to set a boundary. Said he wasn't going to keep showing up to family events if your dad was going to spend the whole time criticizing his job, his wife, his life choices. Your dad took it as a personal attack, told him he was ungrateful, turned the whole family against him. Your uncle eventually just stopped coming around. Where is he now? California, I think. Haven't spoken to him in years. But I remember thinking at the time that he wasn't wrong. He just couldn't take it anymore. Dennis looked at me. I'm not saying your dad's a bad person, but he's always needed to be the one in control. And when someone challenges that, he doesn't know how to handle it without making it a war. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't think you're crazy, and I don't think you're the first person in your family to feel this way. I just think you're the first one who said it out loud. He stood up, folded his newspaper under his arm. Take care of yourself. He left before I could respond. I started reaching out to extended family after that. Not to argue, not to defend myself, just to ask questions. I called my aunt, my mom's sister. We'd always gotten along. She'd sent me a birthday card every year, asked about school, commented on my social media posts with encouraging messages. I just wanted to check in, I said. I know things have been tense. She was quiet for a moment. I heard what happened. What did you hear? That you and your dad got into it. That you walked out. Did anyone tell you why? Another pause. Your mom said you'd been struggling. That therapy had stirred up a lot of old feelings and you took it out on your dad. That's not what happened. I didn't think it was. I sat up straighter. What do you mean? Why didn't you ever say anything? Because it wasn't my place. And because I didn't think it would help. Your mom was always going to take his side. Do you think I'm wrong for what I said? I think you said something that needed to be said. I just don't know if it's going to change anything. We talked for another half hour. She didn't offer to mediate. She didn't tell me to apologize. But she didn't tell me I was wrong either. My cousin, a different one, someone I hadn't talked to in years, sent me a message out of nowhere. I saw your brother's post. I just want you to know that I get it. I felt the same way about my own dad. It's hard when everyone expects you to just deal with it because that's what family does. But you're not crazy. I wrote back. Thank you, that means a lot. I can't say anything publicly. My parents would freak out, but I wanted you to know you're not alone. It wasn't much, but it was something. My therapist helped me see it differently. Think about what's happening, she said. You made one statement. You set one boundary. And the entire system collapsed into crisis. Your dad stopped eating. Your mom showed up unannounced. Your brother posted on social media. Your cousin was warned to stay away from you. Does that sound like a healthy response to a single disagreement? No. It sounds like a system that can't tolerate dissent. And that's not your fault. That's evidence of how fragile the whole structure was to begin with. I sat with that for a long time. A mutual friend mentioned, casually, that my dad had been telling different versions of the story depending on who he was talking to. To Roger, the business partner, he'd said I'd stormed out over nothing. To someone at the community center, he'd said I'd verbally attacked him. To another friend, he'd described it as a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. The inconsistencies didn't prove anything on their own, but they suggested he was less certain than he appeared, that he was working to control the narrative because he knew it wasn't as clear-cut as he wanted people to believe. I wasn't winning, I wasn't sure I ever would, but I was starting to see the shape of what I was up against. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was the one losing my mind. The audio file sat in my messages for 3 days before I opened it. My sister had sent it with no explanation, just a timestamp and a single line. I need you to know you're not crazy. I almost deleted it. I didn't want to hear his voice. I didn't want more ammunition. I just wanted to move forward. But something about the way she'd phrased it made me tap play. The first few seconds were muffled like the phone was in a pocket or under something. Then his voice came through, clear and sharp. You can't do anything right, can you? My sister's voice quieter, apologetic. I forgot to pick it up. I'm sorry. I'll go back tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't help me today. Do you understand how embarrassing this is? I told Roger I'd have it handled. Now I have to call him and explain that my own daughter can't follow simple instructions. I didn't mean to forget. I had a lot going on. Everyone has a lot going on. That's not an excuse. You know what your problem is? You don't think. You just drift through life expecting other people to clean up after you. And then you wonder why nobody takes you seriously. There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it. You're an adult now. You need to start acting like one. Or maybe I've been too generous. Maybe if you had to actually support yourself, you'd figure out how to be responsible. Are you saying you're going to cut me off? I'm saying you need to give me a reason not to. The cruelty in his tone wasn't loud. It was measured, controlled. The kind of voice that made you feel small without ever raising in volume. Then abruptly, the tone shifted. Hey, sweetheart. Warm now, almost cheerful. My mother's voice in the background, asking if anyone wanted tea. That'd be great, thanks. He paused. We were just talking about her week, weren't we? My sister's voice barely audible. Yeah. The recording cut off. I sat there staring at my phone. 10 minutes of my sister being dismantled, followed by 30 seconds of performance. The switch was so seamless it would have been impressive if it weren't so sickening. I called her. Did you mean to send that to me? Yes. Are you okay? Why did you record it? What do you want me to do with this? She was quiet for a long time. I don't know. I just couldn't be the only one carrying it anymore. I met my brother at a park 2 days later. Neutral ground. He'd agreed to talk, but only in person, and only if I promised not to blow things up again. I brought my laptop. We sat at a picnic table. He looked tired, defensive. I don't know what you think this is going to accomplish. I just want you to listen to something. If this is some kind of ambush, it's not, just listen. I opened the laptop, turned up the volume, and hit play. He stared at the screen as the audio started. His arms were crossed. His expression was set. But as the recording went on, something shifted. His jaw tightened when my dad's voice dropped into that cold, controlled register. His eyes narrowed when the threat about cutting her off came through. And when the tone flipped, when my dad's voice turned warm and pleasant for my mom, my brother's face went slack. The recording ended. He didn't say anything. That's what it sounds like, I said. That's what we've been hearing for years. And I know you've heard it too, but maybe you didn't realize how bad it was because it wasn't always aimed at you. He rubbed his face with both hands. I didn't think it was that bad. I know, he's always been tough, but this, he stopped. This sounds different. It's not different. It's just recorded. He sat back, staring at the table. Does Mom know about this? Not yet. What are you going to do with it? Nothing. I'm not trying to destroy him. I just needed you to understand that I wasn't making it up. He looked at me, really looked at me for the first time since the dinner. How long have you been dealing with this? As long as I can remember. He didn't apologize. He didn't say he was wrong, but he also didn't argue. He stood up, hands in his pockets. I need to think. Okay. He walked away without looking back, but something had cracked. My mother showed up at my apartment unannounced again, but this time she wasn't crying. She was angry. Your sister told me about the recording. You can't use that against him. It was a private conversation. I'm not using it against him. I played it for one person, and only because he didn't believe me. It's out of context. It's 10 minutes long. What context makes that okay? She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. He was frustrated. She'd forgotten something important, so that makes it okay to tell her she's worthless. He didn't say that. He said she drifts through life and nobody takes her seriously. What's the difference? She sat down on my couch, deflating. You don't understand what it's like. He has a lot of pressure. He's trying to hold everything together. I'm not asking you to divorce him. I'm asking you to stop pretending this is normal. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something other than defense. She looked exhausted. She didn't respond. And when he threw the remote at the wall during the playoffs and it shattered, you told me he was just passionate about the game. Where are you going with this? I'm saying you've been explaining him away my entire life, and I'm tired, and I think you are too. Her hands were shaking. She pressed them together in her lap. I've always known he was difficult. Difficult isn't the word. I didn't know how to change it. You didn't have to change it. You just had to stop pretending it wasn't happening. She started crying. Not the dramatic, performative crying from before. This was quieter, sadder. I thought if I kept everything calm, it would get better. It didn't. We sat there for a long time. She didn't apologize, but she didn't defend him either. The group text appeared in my notifications 2 days later. My aunt had forwarded something to the wrong thread. It was a message chain I wasn't supposed to see. Family members I barely talked to, discussing my dad's anger problem like it was an open secret. We all know how he gets. It's been like this for years. We just don't talk about it. I feel bad for the kids, but what are we supposed to do? It's not our place. Maybe if we all just keep things civil, it'll blow over. The thread went back months. They'd been talking about it long before the dinner, long before I'd said anything. They'd known, and they'd agreed to stay quiet. My aunt sent a follow-up message 10 minutes later, realizing her mistake. Please disregard. Wrong chat. But it was too late. I'd already screenshotted it. My dad made his move 3 days later. A group email to the entire family. I've tried to be patient. I've tried to keep this family together despite everything that's happened. But I'm done being disrespected in my own home. If anyone wants to continue a relationship with me, they need to make a choice. You're either with me, or you're with someone who has shown nothing but contempt for this family. It was an ultimatum, a line in the sand. I waited for the flood of responses backing him up. It didn't come. My brother replied first. This isn't fair. You're asking people to choose sides over a conversation that got out of hand. That's not reasonable. My sister replied next. I don't want to choose. I just want everyone to calm down. Then my aunt. I think we all need to take a step back. One by one, people pushed back. Not everyone, but enough. My dad sent another email an hour later. I see where everyone stands. No one responded. My sister called me that night. I wasn't there, but I heard about it from Mom. He tried to do the same thing in person at dinner tonight. Told everyone they had to pick a side. And when people didn't immediately agree, he just sat there. Mom said his face looked like he didn't recognize anyone anymore. What did he do? He left. Just got up and went to his office. He's been in there all night. How do you feel? Scared? Relieved? I don't know. It's weird seeing him not in control. Yeah. Do you think this changes anything? I don't know. Maybe. Over the next few weeks, things didn't snap back into place, but they didn't stay broken in the same way either. My mom started saying no. Small things at first. She didn't cancel plans when he wanted her home early. She didn't apologize for other people's behavior. My brother called to talk, not about the dinner, about other things. Movies, work, normal things. But the conversation felt different, lighter. My sister started seeing her own therapist. The extended family stopped pretending everything was fine. Someone brought up the old argument at a gathering, and instead of shutting it down, people actually talked about it. Not perfectly, not without tension, but honestly. My dad didn't apologize. He didn't acknowledge what had happened, but his voice at family events was quieter. He didn't hold court the way he used to, and when someone disagreed with him, he didn't explode. He just went quiet. I wasn't invited back into the fold with open arms. There was no tearful reunion. But I also wasn't the target anymore. The family didn't heal, but it stopped pretending the wound wasn't there. And that somehow felt like enough. I didn't go to the holiday dinner. They didn't ask me to, and I didn't offer. Instead, I sat in my apartment with takeout and a movie I'd been meaning to watch. The kind of quiet evening that used to feel like failure, like I'd been exiled from something I was supposed to want. But sitting there, phone face down on the coffee table, I didn't feel punished. I felt still. My sister's text came through around 8. A photo of herself at the table, makeup smudged, smile forced. "Next year, I'm coming to yours." I smiled, typed back, "You're welcome anytime." She didn't respond right away. Probably got pulled back into conversation. Probably had to sit through my dad holding court, pretending nothing had shifted. But something had. Not everything, not enough, but something. I thought about that night at the dinner table, the moment I stood up, the sound of the fork hitting the plate, the silence that followed. For years, I'd thought the point was to win, to be heard, to force everyone to see what I'd been seeing all along. But that wasn't it. The point was refusing to disappear. I didn't need them to apologize. I didn't need them to understand. I just needed to stop waiting for permission to feel like a person.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.